Welcome to another panel in Angels Positivity and Love show, the Mind, Body, Spirit panel series. We have three amazing guests, powerhouses really, healers, show hosts, authors, Elephant Journal editor, TikTok superstar, countries represented right now: West Coast, San Diego area, Canada, Ontario, France, although she was born in South Africa, did 20 years in Australia. Let me do some introductions. But before I do, I'm just going to mention we have two more panels happening. This one comes out today, later today, so you're watching this live almost. But we have panel number 5. We have 3 experts with India training, Buddhist training, Mark Shimada, American Buddhist chaplain in Prague. We also have Paul Sugar in Arizona, 50-year mindfulness meditation expert. And we also have Vazi Therese Rose Lopez in the U.S. Virgin Islands, trained in India under Sri Kaleshwar. 3 people who, not that we want to do an accolade here, who can meditate for more than 5 hours. Fantastic experts. And then the 6th panel, taping at the end of the month, is Dr. Eben Alexander, Michelle Clare, and Ingrid Hankala, PhD, NASA oceanographer. The latter 2 have had 3 near-death experiences each. And obviously, Dr. Eben Alexander is world famous for his very studied experience when he had E. coli meningitis and somehow managed to survive. It was a miracle. So check out those panels. Today's panel, absolutely phenomenal, folks. Diane Forster. It's dianeforster.com if you want to cheat now and look. Yes, thank you, Diane. In the San Diego area, show host, author, healer, helps you manifest your dreams and much more. She's had me on her show. Thank you for that, Diane. In Ontario, Canada, Tracy L Clark, same thing, tracylclark.com. Check out her offerings. Again, show host, healer, big with the social media and everything else, has been on our show twice, so be sure to check out episodes 17 and 38. 38 is coming in the future. We're at 32 right now. And also, Diane was my very first guest, so a big thank you for that, for taking the chance. We've come a long way. We have 42 episodes recorded through November. Now, last but definitely not least, with the amethyst next to her, Lieselle, sorry, I'm totally in the mode of host right now, Lieselle Elliot, but she goes under a couple other names as well. If you look at her poetry, you look at her books, she has a huge TikTok following, and that is the Eternal Tarot, but with underscores between the words. You'll find it's the only account that has 976,000 subscribers. There's probably about 30 to 40 knockoff accounts, so careful. Also, her website, same thing, theeternaltarot.com. You'll find all her information there. She has a ton of offerings and is absolutely fantabulous in what she does. She's been doing this almost 20 years as a healer, intuitive, guiding others, but the tarot thing, it has just taken off. It's been an amazing experience for connecting to people worldwide, and I'm excited to have her on today. I'm born in South Africa, 20 years in Australia, did time in the UK, but currently lives in France. Again, welcome to all 3 of you.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay, we're here to talk a bunch of different topics. All of you are super well versed in spirituality, just letting go, being in the heart, helping others do the same. I'd like to put out there first, the big picture. How have you all seen the concept of spirituality evolve, or what have you been noticing in the last decade, the last few years? And if I could start with Diane, and this really is just, what's the big picture? What do we need to keep in mind here? And Diane, can I have you start with that?
Of course. Well, this is a really big question, and I love it that we're going right here. What have I seen change in the last 10 years? Well, obviously, the increase in social media platforms and the ability for the world to really be connected and to communicate and to be able to express what it is they're feeling, a much heightened acceptance of the other dimensions, our higher self, our power. I've also seen a lot of disruption and confusion with it, with, people stuck in the 3D while they're trying to ascend up to 5D and feeling lost in between worlds. And for me in my world, with my coaching practice, I've seen so many women who are just feeling like, what is this all for? Why am I here? Why aren't I happy? Like, I feel like there's got to be more than this. And they're waking up. And I know what that feels like, because that's what happened to me, 12 years ago. And so I know that feeling of what that feels like. So that's my take on what's been going on right now.
Fantastic. Tracy.
Yeah, I have to agree with what Diane was saying. And it's really nice because we're not only seeing the inner, and I think for all of us here, we've been in the space for a decade plus. So we've been also focused on a lot of, our inner work, our inner journey. We're seeing people do that. You have to do that. But what I'm noticing right now, and I'm sure you guys notice I love, is that the world is waking up. Like, we're actually seeing the world wake up, and we're releasing things personally that the world is letting go of. And so it's so beautiful because we're seeing us coming back from this whole disconnection and isolation and just doing our personal journey to this world journey. So they're going hand in hand. And I think as we see, I love what Dan was saying, especially with social media, and be able to express, where you're going and not feel alone. Like, before, when we all woke up, we felt like we were on the by ourselves. We were talking Greek. No one understood us. No offense, Greek, but I don't know Greek. So it was like no one understood us, right? And so now we're finding there's these beautiful communities and people, and whatever way resonates, right? There's no right, no wrong. But I'm loving that we're just seeing that there's a bigger harmony now connected with the global shift and people around the world coming together so we can release what's going on with us a lot quicker. And it's big change. I love it.
LIESELL.
Yeah, having I've done this for a long time, but and always very much in an interpersonal way, on a one-on-one, that kind of thing. And now, when being exposed to the thing that is the big thing at the moment, and that is social media, that is so huge, I realize just how thirsty people are for knowledge that I thought I'd forgotten, like that, and that stuff that we have accumulated. And we are all, if I may say, of an age where we've had experiences in our life that have, that have shaped us and that we may have thought useless. But certainly I'm finding those experiences are my tools. And there are people thirsty for that knowledge, for the lessons that were learned from, those processes that we've all been through. And that's not to say that that's just an age thing, but it's certainly very apparent to me that there are a lot of people seeking answers. That's exciting, but for me, it's also it's more exciting to help people see that those answers don't necessarily lie out there, and teaching people to come back in here to seek those answers. But yes, I think a huge I wouldn't say full acceptance, certainly not in the way when I work. I get a lot of resistance from a lot of people, and that's okay. I just think it's more awareness that there is something more. And when you find a curious mind looking out there and going, well, I'm looking for something more. And we have people who are giving that information and sharing that information and sharing our life experiences, that there are also recipients who are so eager to soak that up and to equate it to their own life experiences as well. And I think that's interesting. That wonderful quote, we're all just walking each other home. That comes up for me every single day. We're all just walking each other home. We're all just helping each other out. And sometimes I need help, and sometimes you need help, and sometimes the next one needs help. But it's really important to acknowledge that, that knowledge lies not only within, but it's now also available. Thank you, TikTok, Instagram, whatever the case may be.
Beautiful. I'm going to add 2 cents for 2 seconds. Just more understanding of the difference between thinking and awareness. And there's 1,000 ways to say each. Limits, no limits, resistance, judging, knowing to the preclusion of possibility versus, again, no limits, more love. just being sparkly, following a unique life path that everybody has. Okay, I think Diane's the one that touched on this. That'll lead to our next question, which is, the pandemic happened, and it's hard to view things like total shutdowns and being stuck and sick and friends passing over as a positive in any way. But as they say in Ted Lasso, events, I think this is season 3, episode 6, the houseboat scene, the football soccer team owner falls into the canal in Amsterdam and gets fished out. And later that houseboat owner explains to her, events don't happen to us, they happen for us. So same thing, pandemic, your personal life story, everything that you think happened to you isn't really an opportunity or your instruction. So with that, can we talk about how everything is perfectly suited for you? It's an opportunity, whether we want to fight it or not. Good luck believing that your financial situation is a good thing. And I will start this time with Tracy, if I could. If you just want to cover it in any which way, how do we turn life into and make sort of life our, the world is your oyster, so to speak, I think is an expression. How do we do that? How do we live more, love more, allow more?
Well, I think it's a process. And one of the things I want to touch on, which Lieselle said earlier, is we have all come through many journeys that we're sharing. And I think people have to understand exactly what she said here. And I want to reiterate before I answer the question, is that it is a journey. It's how we live. Like, I know being in my 50s and everybody else, like, it's how we've lived. We live this every day. And I think that's the key that people have to understand, is the awareness, the hunger to look. I always say, what's good about this I'm not getting. Or like, I was just evacuating my parents, in the wildfires. And I was like going for a holiday and then going, for a moment. But then like, okay, if I wasn't here, they wouldn't leave. So what's good about this? And what continued to happen, it was a very intense 10 days, but there was a big growth period, even for me personally and for them. And when we come to these situations, if you can look at it, because it's difficult, right? And people, I think a lot of people beat themselves up. Like, I've been in this financial situation for a long time, or this health situation for a long time, or trauma bonding for a long time, or whatever it might be. And rather than looking at the time you've been on and being able to expand it to say, okay, what is the awareness about this? What is it, something I can change in my perception? How can I change my perception? And Lieselle, you said this well, what is it, something I can do differently, right? Because when you were saying they were resistant, because they're so afraid, they're so bonded to that situation. And we've all been there, and we still find things that come up in our life. None of us you're never free of it. It's a learning of going through life. But it's like, okay, if I'm bonded to this poverty or this lack, or I'm bonded to this bad relationship, or I'm bonded to, this bad job, or whatever you think, ask yourself, well, what's good about this? And how can I reverse the perception? Why am I bonding to it? Why am I doing that? And the thing I love about this whole panel is we've all asked ourselves this, and we still ask ourselves this when stuff comes up, right? All of us do. I just did it again. And, it's like, okay, why is that? And if people can take that moment and work with great people, like all of us here and many others, whoever resonates for you, they can help you just see it. And that's where, if you're resistant, that's the block that you got to work through. And the resistance always comes because for all of us, we've seen it, it's pain usually in the heart, right? The heart's opening. And now it's that of letting go, and nobody wants to feel pain. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. But then you are going to cry, you are going to scream, you are going to yell, you are going to have a temper tantrum, however it works. But if people can take that and go, wait a minute, if I am resisting it. And that's what I love what you said, Lieselle, earlier, because it leads into this question so well, is that we really need to look at why are we bonded to it? And that's where we get freedom and then growth within us to be able to change our situation.
Lieselle, Diane, who would like to follow up?
If I may. So yes, for me, there's an example I use daily. We all tend to beat the vibration. We all beat a drum every day, and that's the vibration we create. Now, you guys may have heard this analogy before many times over from different teachers, but it's so resonant with me because, as an example, say somebody is looking for, say, more money. Okay, I need more money. Okay, and they I don't know how many times somebody will come to me and say, am I going to get that money that I'm manifesting? And I think, oh dear, you've just broken the first rule of manifestation. You doubt it, okay? So you're asking me a question here. You shouldn't even be asking me that question. And the way I explain it to them is, when you want, say, to manifest more money into your life, you cannot beat the drum that screams lack. You can only beat a drum that is beating the vibration of abundance. How do you do that? How do you feel abundant when you don't have the cash in the bank? Well, you then have to start to look for things that make you feel abundant. And that may not be a cash in the bank. It may also be a leap of faith in the imagination where you are going, you know what? Wouldn't it be nice if I did have that? What would I do with that? And so as a child, you would play. You know, and when children play and little girls play and they pretend they're going to be a princess one day and there's going to be a prince coming along, nobody ever says to that child, oh, don't be ridiculous. That's never going to happen. Nobody ever says that to a child, do they? But they say it to adults, don't they? And we say that to ourselves, don't we? Because the adult in us, or the dragon, as I call it, has come in and said, oh, don't be ridiculous. You know, life has shown you something different, blah, 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 blah. And at that point, that is when you have to dig really deep. And not that deep, but deep enough to find that child who once dreamed and who once played without care. And therein lies the vibration of abundance. And not when is that money coming, because that is the drum of, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money. Oh, look at that fabulous meal I'm making for myself today. I'm putting it on a beautiful plate. I'm sitting in a restaurant. I'm blah, 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 blah. Anyway, whatever you have to do to create the vibration of abundance, because then you create the feeling, you then create the attraction point. So I feel, for me, it's a leap of faith. Those three words, everything, the leap of faith. Suspend your disbelief. Allow yourself to not look at what the world is showing you, but what you believe. No, let me rephrase that. What you feel is. It is so. So where do we begin? Find things to be grateful for. that's you know, we hear it every day. I don't know about you, but on social media now, you know, gratitude practice. And okay, what is a gratitude practice? It's finding things to be grateful for when you don't have anything to truly be grateful for. You know, finding things. This meal I'm eating, that comfortable bed I'm sleeping. I'm in this really crap relationship, but you know what? I've got a really best friend out there who can help me, you know, who's giving me good advice. Or I've got parents who love me. I've got children who love me. But our focus, where we place our focus, is everything. And so that abundance, you know, can only come when we are grateful, or in the vibration of, I'm so grateful for this. Give me more of that.
Bravo. Before we go to Diane, I'm just going to mention Diane has the most fabulous mantra. You fill in the rest of it. She uses it daily. She encourages others to use it daily. It's the name of her business, the name of her book, the name of her show. I have today to enjoy wonderful panel guests who are absolutely knocking the ball out of the park, but not just out of the park, but the leather's coming off the ball, as we just witnessed from France. Diane, what have you got for us on this topic?
That everything that's showing up in your life is a direct result of what you think and believe. And that you can choose in any moment, at any time, to change the way you feel about things. If you see and feel lack and negativity, it's going to continue to show up in your life. You're going to get evidence all around you. But just like Lieselle said about gratitude, I teach intentionality. That's what it's about, living intentionally. And so if you could start to create awareness, I call it ABCs. Awareness begets change. So if you're aware that you don't like the situation, you don't like the dollar amount in your bank account, you don't like the car you're driving, you're unhappy in your relationship, you hate your job, all of that, is a direct reflection of how you are thinking and feeling and what your beliefs are. So, and I think it was you, Lieselle, also said about becoming curious and asking, and I learned this from a mentor who helped me tremendously, is in every situation, and Tracy, you touched on this, how is this for me? What is this here showing me that I need to break through in order to be able to now identify as a wealthy person, as a healthy person, as a happy person, and just know that it's all stemming from your childhood, those first 8 years when you're in theta brainwave state and you're a sponge soaking up everybody's beliefs. Everything is coming in. 80% of them happen there. So when something like 2020 happens, it depends on how you want to look at it. And so we saw how the world responded to it. How many people left? How much worse it got for some people. It's so sad. And yet how many people woke up and said, I'm the one in the power, I'm not living this way, and how we connected and we united. So this is always your decision and choice. And what I see a lot is people get to the point, certainly my clients, especially if someone's having the enrollment conversation with me or just exploring with me, so many times they wait until their back is up against the wall before they go, I refuse to live like this anymore. That's what happened to me. So I know that feeling. So if you start to set up intentional habits, rituals, because it is all here. It is not out there. There's not somebody judging you and telling you you're a bad girl or a bad boy. That's not happening. That's all within you. We here collectively, we all know this. We are all one. There is no separation. We are all the power, and we all get to decide what this journey in this human body, this existence and experience is going to be. And then we also get to decide how we want to feel about it. So getting more curious, not thinking just because all the stuff, and I know you guys know what's going on here in our country, like how could you not know what's happening here? It's like crazy. But you can choose to look at that and put your energy there, or you can choose to be what I call selfish in a really good way. Honor you first, because when you do, the world is so much brighter. You have so much more to give to the rest of the world, and you're not so easily influenced by those outside forces. And then the mirror of reflection you see back is just going to keep getting brighter and brighter and brighter.
Okay, we're going to stay on this topic and we're going to go right back around again, but I've got to do 2 quotes. One is a compliment for all 3 of you. I'm super thankful to have brought you together, that hopefully you'll stay in touch. We're grateful to have you on the show. But here's one quote: a true healer kindles the power already within another. And I think all of you are doing that. And I love that quote. One more, it's out of my little Listening to Angels book. Don't blame me, even though I was the author, but I saw balls of light as I was typing. It's Angels. Smile more. Well, it starts off this way: being is believing in all. You do not need to be like anyone else. Be you. Smile more, think less. Do not permit others to dictate your well-being. Own your own being in life. Love more and allow more. And you can be happy now in this very moment without a single reason. Good luck with that. But if you believe that, I've got desert real estate for you. And I actually do believe that. So that's the crux. That's the rub. And with that, all of you have techniques, tips, and you have personal experience, whether it was, violent childhood, near-death experiences, extreme sickness, relationship challenges, and more. And many of our guests this season, same thing, rocky roads that have laid tremendous foundations and given us or given them more patience to then be able to help others adjust their perspective, shift their consciousness. Okay, who would like to grab this and run with it? Because there's a lot here.
Well, I just want to say one of my you were talking about mantras. I always say, doubt you go without, believe you shall receive. And so I say, if people are having trouble just even repeat that, because that'll get you into the gratitude that everybody was talking about pretty quickly. And I also noticed, and I don't know, throw it out there based on what you were saying with the troubling childhoods or these challenges that we came up, I really noticed that for all of us in this realm, it was our training ground. It was our school for where we're going now and why we're here to help, because we all looked back at that going, why me, why me? If anybody's listening to this, like, and you're going, why me? Like, we had I call it a training ground. It was like, we had to train for what is unfolding now during the change and the transition. And so it was a blessing, right? We all look at it now as a blessing, but if people are listening, because a lot of people listen and they go, well, okay, I'm not in the place you guys are right now. And I think that's something that we do need to address. We can stay all happy and positive, and they can look at us and say, well, nice, you're there. But most people that are tuning in are probably going, okay, like I did go through the pandemic and I want to change my life and I want to do something different. And I'm doing gratitude and I'm doing that, but they can still feel that there's that block and the resistance. And for them to understand that it's constantly having to go through that subconscious programming. Like, one of the things I'll say to people is I do these little, obviously we're shifting energy, we're moving. That's what we're with the body, because I focus on the body given my past, but body always vibrating, like you said, and saying what's happening. But I'll even say to people, like, just stop sometimes and go, like, why, universe, do miracles come to me every day? And the people say, why would I say that? And I'm like, wow, why do I expect miracles every day? And then they notice just a little thing like that. I said, even if you're not feeling it, or wow, why did I go through the pandemic and life is actually getting better now? Or why? I said, when you ask that question that way to spirit, it actually starts to change a little bit of the subconscious. Like, wow, why is my body repairing so differently? Like, ask those little questions, because we can get heady and we can go into all the things we do, but at the same time, somebody listens probably like, I just need something simple right now, which then starts, the subconscious will start to change, where it goes, yeah, why do you get miracles every day? And all of a sudden, 30 days later, you're like, wow, miracles are showing up, versus, there's yeses, the I am, or, wow, why do I love and understand why miracles come to me every day? Like, just by changing our words a little bit, I hope that people can understand that their reality can start to shift, and give them a little bit more where they're seeing the signs more, they're seeing the wonders more, they're noticing the numbers more, they're noticing, different things of people, that what they're saying to them, their voices are changing. And one of the things through this change and transition, because I do focus so much on the body, is I just want people to understand that your body is going to feel restless when you're going through these changes and changing your subconscious and your pattern belief. It will feel restless because it's so foreign, right? We want to run and gravitate to what we know, but it is so foreign. So it's okay to feel that. And it's okay to feel all the feelings. And even in this realm, like, I meet people all the time, they're like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't have been mad, that's not spiritual, or I shouldn't have been angry. And I'm like, no, that's okay to feel it, because your body is changing. So, you're so big, Michael, and so good with these mantras and affirmations, and you always have such beautiful ones that when we're talking that you give out. So I just thought, if that can help somebody, it can help them say, well, why these blessings every day? And just as Lieselle said, it's another step of curiosity of how you can converse with spirit and notice things changing in your life, because it is going to be a bigger transition now over these next few years. So we need to be there for each other.
We're going to go to Lieselle, but I want to mention Diane has incredible abilities to create, I'm not going to get the words just right, but to tailor, there we go, to tailor mantras. She tunes in and tailors mantras or word sculpting for folks in their particular situation. I had to mention it because it's very artistic, and all of you are extremely artistic. Oh my God, especially who we're turning to now in France. What have you got for us, Lieselle, for follow-up here to everybody else? I mean, you're a poet. You've got your book, children's book out there, and all the creativity you pump into what you do.
I'll say a little bit about that children's book, only because it really, I think it pertains to what we're talking about here. For me, and I wrote this as a children's book because I really wanted to simplify the concept. And what I love about simplifying concepts is that adults need simplified concepts as well. You know, we can read all the self-help books on earth, but when we have to apply it to ourselves, sometimes we just need that basic thing. And so I wrote this little book. I'd used the analogy with my clients for years and years and years and years, and never even thought about it as a children's book until one day when I explained it to a client. He said to me, "Oh, that'll make a great kids book." And I was like, bang, okay, right. So, and it just, and then I just thought, hang on, I'm going to do it in poetic form because that's the way I do it. But the concept for me is this: we all have a dragon and we all have a genius. And the dragon is the thing that keeps you small. It is that voice that is overriding it's loud. It tells me a lot of things. Like, I'm training for a marathon at the moment. Okay. Why? I have no idea. In this lifetime, I've done 2 half marathons, and I swore I would never run further unless I was being chased by a lion. And then I decided, okay, no, I'm going to do this marathon anyway. So I'm training for this bloody thing. And usually the dragon comes up to me when I'm, sort of, 10 Ks in and going, what are you doing? You are not built for this. Why are you doing that? Walker is going faster than you are running. That's the, that is the dragon just going there and going, what the hell are you doing? And the interesting thing with the dragon is we don't need to banish a dragon. We just need to notice acknowledgement, as you said, acknowledgement. I think it was Tracy who said acknowledge. Was it Tracy or Diane? I don't know, but it was acknowledgement, right? Acknowledge it. Hang on. Isn't that funny? That's the dragon. That dragon's keeping me small right now. What a bugger of a thing he is, right? Isn't that cool? That's fun. You don't have to banish him. You just have to go, no, I don't want to listen to you anymore. Just shush, shush you, shush. And come back down in the children's book, I called it the genie, but I call it the genius in my adult analogy, because the genius lies here really quiet. He never shouts. He knows all the answers. And for you to access those answers, you have to shut the dragon up for a little while. So in the children's book, the dragon gets duct tape over his mouth for a while, and he gets banished to the corner for a while so that the genie can come out and play and reassure. It's called Millie, the Dragon and the Genie. And so reassure Millie that everything's okay, and she's onto it and it's all okay. And so acknowledgement is everything. The moment you acknowledge, there's no need for judgment, though, because the first go-to is, oh my God, I've done something wrong. How do I turn that around? It's like, just stop for a moment. Tap in. Okay, let's pretend the dragon is playing on a radio station you no longer want to listen to, and you can just turn down the dial there a little bit. Now you can hear that genie a little bit better, or that genius a little bit better. In addition, what feeds that dragon? Social media feeds the bloody dragon. News channels feed that dragon. Comparison feeds that dragon. All the things we look at and go, oh, this one's doing that, and that one's doing this, and then and the dragon is fed. And then it fuels you with all of its nonsense. So it's really just about acknowledging the dragon. You don't have to banish him. He's a necessary part of you. And ego is an important thing to have, whether people like it or not. Ego is important to have. It has kept us safe in years. But it has become what I call the micromanager. It's become like I can do everything, when in fact it cannot. Mm-hmm. And tuning in then here into this beautiful genius that resides right here quietly requires your effort. It requires your effort. It requires you showing up. It requires you sitting in quiet time. And if you cannot, I get that every day. Because I've created all these guided meditations and said, just sit with me and meditate. Oh, I can't meditate. I cannot meditate. My head's too busy. I was like, well, so is mine, mate. Let's make some time to sit down and not judge that process, but let's make some quiet time. Because when you show up to that quiet time again and again and again, guess who shows up with you? They're right there, sitting there, waiting for you is your genius. Accessible to you at all time, yet if you don't make the time, you cannot access that. So it's acknowledgement is key. Intention is everything. To me, one of the most important books ever written, The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer. I've given that book away 30 times over because why? Because it's everything. Our intention, how do we intend? What do you intend for you? Do you know how many times I've heard, I want to be happier? Okay, what does that look like for you? Oh, I don't know. Well, let's think about what do you intend for yourself? What do you intend? What do you intend to find in this encounter when you show up with your family? Oh, I intend to find blah, blah, blah. Oh, there you go. Universe is a yes man. The universe always says yes. The universe always says yes. So what are you saying to the universe? What are you asking the universe? Because the answer is going to be yes. And so, good grief. When we know the answer is yes, you don't want to say, oh my God, I'm so broke. Or, oh my God, I've attracted every horrible relationship on earth. Because the universe just goes, okay, yes. Here's some more evidence of that for you. So we change the mantra so that the answer can be yes, because the answer will always be yes. What's the mantra? You are the drum, you are the vibration, you are the initiating want, the need, the desire. What do you want? But don't say it as I'm lacking it. Say it as it is so, because the answer will be yes.
Diane.
Well, you touched on the mantra meditations, and I want to thank you for the beautiful words you shared at the beginning too of this, of this round. And it is true, I'm not a healer. I'm a conduit and a messenger for your soul to speak through my soul, for me to give you the words that you need to hear. And when you are feeling that place that you're stuck and you don't have the words, you don't have the know-how because you've been living this way for so long, and these are your beliefs and your truths and your reality, we sometimes need that helped and facilitated. And so I got the guidance, and I think I shared this with you on our first interview, when I had a client who was so stuck in so many things that were happening in her life. And on my morning walk, I just said to Spirit, how can I help her? And they instantly gave me the download. Go home and record a mantra meditation for her. Give her the words she needs so that she can start the transformation. And I immediately ran home, grabbed my recorder, and wham, sent it to her and said, you're stuck in bed. You've got a lot going on. You got nothing to do anyway. Just listen to this. And then the miracles started to happen. So over and over and over, I started doing that with other clients. And so we have to actively choose what we're feeding ourselves, right? If you're feeding yourself the news, well, guess what's going to show up in your life? That the fear, the paranoia, and the uncertainty, when what you're really looking for is certainty. What we're all looking for is certainty and safety. We want to feel loved. We want to be seen, heard, appreciated, and acknowledged. And when we feel that disconnect, we don't feel that we are loved, that we are worthy, that we're broken or we're bad or life won't change. So we have to deliberately do things, and it might be a bite at a time. That's why we say we operate 1% better every day. All you need to be is 1% better every day. You are going to start piling that on, and in a year, that's 3,378%. You're the best investment if you could just make those tiny little changes. And so the mantras do it for them. And they're just audio recordings. I send them, they're 5 to 10 minutes, but now they have to create that habit of listening it. It's a new habit. It's unfamiliar, and our subconscious mind doesn't like the unfamiliar, wants to stay familiar, wants to stay small, wants to stay stuck, it wants to. So you're making your body, right, Tracy, and yourself take a different action to make a change. And now what happens is they've lit up their reticular activating system in their brain, unbeknownst to them. And oh my God, all these opportunities are coming to me. I can't believe it. I got this check for $5,000 from nowhere. Somebody hired me for this. I met the love of my life. Like, the stories are so fantastic. And so it's what we're feeding ourselves. And it has to be a commitment and consistency you make, because I can only speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure this collectively, all of us still work on ourselves every day. I know I do. I know I meditate every day. I journal every day. I wake up and starfish my arms and legs out and do my morning mantra. I have today to love my life. Something really good's going to happen to me today. I can feel it. Miracles big and small. I notice them all. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Like, boom. I just gave that to the universe. And every one of my mantras starts that way. And it's something that I've had to learn over time, because I was so quote unquote broken. Nobody's broken, but that's how I felt. And so if you're not happy with certain areas of your life, which we all have work to do, we are works in progress. We're works of art, but we're works in progress. And if there's things that you'd rather have a different experience with, then you're going to need to do something differently. That's how change happens. Recognize what it is, decide where you want to be, and then what actions can I take? How can I get there to shift that identity of feeling broke, poor, unlovable, fat, stupid, whatever, to I am all power. I am everything. I am worthy and deserving, or whatever you want that feeling to be. Wake up feeling that it's that commitment. So that's how change happens.
Tracy.
Yeah, and to reiterate on that too, one of the things I like to do, if it helps people, I love what Diane's saying there, is I do that in the morning before I even get out of bed, and I do it before I go to sleep. Those I make sure are always a must. So if people are saying, well, when? Because if people say, oh, I can't find the time or whatever they're looking for, yeah, you can. Just go to bed 10 minutes earlier, like wake up 10 minutes earlier. And as you're coming out of that, there you found your time, like you're saying, actionable steps, right? Now you can integrate it. I love what you're saying with even with the audios, because put it on 10 minutes before bed, put it on before you get out of bed. So for people listening and say, well, where do I find that time? I hope that really gives them, that's the time right there. And it's the most powerful time, right? Because we're coming back into our bodies, we're leaving, we're reading ourselves, having your conversation with your subconscious, what you wanted to do before you go to sleep, so things can start moving and shifting. And to have that awareness, as I said, back to the body, because yes, you're going through the subconscious, but your body is always telling you if you're in the right place or not. And so many people I found who, we all did it. I was so disconnected from my body. We were so disconnected from our body, and then overthinking, and the subconscious is going through this space and creating that. If you actually really start to, and a lot of people are doing this now, I love it. They're coming back to, how do I truly feel about that? And they're looking at the body, and they're looking at things that are unfolding. And your body is always going to tell you it's going to feel good, or it's going to feel light, or that old saying, it's expansive, or it's contracting, or you can be in a situation where all of a sudden you're feeling really anxious, but you got to ask yourself, is it anxious because it's change, or is it anxious because it's an old pattern that's leaving? And if you can start to back that out and really listen and reconnect to your body, because your body is that drum, right, that you're talking about. It's that vibration is coming out of every part of who you are. And that's why we always call it the heart drive, right? We have a hard drive in our computer, but we have a heart drive in our body. And it's fascinating because your heart, if you think about it, it's the only organ that you can't mess with. You can get a new heart, but you can't take it out and live, and you can't slice it and live. You need your heart drive in full tact. And the more we're coming down into that heart drive and the feeling, the greater sense of awareness we can have to our connection on the other side, which then leads to creation and change. So people remember that your body is your vessel. You chose it. You're here to have that expansive energy and to be able to be out in the world and just be able, it's communicating with you nonstop. But we're so used to, oh no, in my head, and let's disconnect. So as we go through these next few years in this great transition, listen, because it's going to always tell you, it's your compass. And when people understand that's the compass and they're doing the affirmations and they're, you know, really looking at things, and it doesn't have to be complicated. But if you listen to how your body feels, no different than all of us have walked into a room. We've done it sometimes. And when we were younger learning, we're like, oh, I got to get out of here. Right. And then you're like, oh, I need to expand, and how you can be that conduit into places you go. Just by showing up and being expansive from your heart and your whole body, you can change the atmosphere of that room versus that room changing the atmosphere of who you are. And so I always say when we're integrating, if people really start to just listen, and that's why meditation's great. But when people say, well, oh, I fear that a lot, like I can't take 5 minutes in silence, or however you do it. Like some people meditate, you know, cooking or having baths or whatever. You don't have to just sit there in a, you know, a sealed off room. People forget that. Meditate while you're walking, having conversations. But if you're listening to your actual physical body while you're doing all of these things, you can speed up the process quite quickly.
Ooh, we're going to Lieselle in just a second, but I've got like 5 little random tidbits. Maybe food for thought, maybe not. Positivity is abundance, one tidbit. Always try, no try. You know, Yoda, Archangel Michael always says, always try. Yoda says, no try. It's that non-duality thing. They're both correct. And I'll do Yoda's voice only because it'll be embarrassing and everyone will laugh. Do not. There is no try. Okay. But then a leap of faith, religious, non-religious, it's still letting go to go from this point to this point. As another guest says, who's been on twice or will have been on twice this year, hey, it may not happen this lifetime, and that's okay. It may be the next lifetime. Everything's perfectly suited to you right now. It's just, when do you want to pay attention to how you're paying attention and slow down a bit more? Also, last random thing. Also allow ego to serve as a reminder for what you decide, your life, and let it just always be an opportunity instead of a false safety blanket. I always say, take that little blanket though and put it under your ankles or under your knees and prop your feet up. Have a cup of tea or a beer on the porch and enjoy life. Last bit, you all talked about at least the checking out of thinking and maybe waking up in the morning. How about that? Once in a blue moon, go to your kitchen, wherever the recessed lights are. And before you know your name, before you've showered, before you've had the cup of coffee or tea, before you've said a mantra yet, look up and you might see a beach ball sized rainbow light around the recessed lights. Boy, are you hitting the lottery at that point. That light will absolutely stupefy you. And at that point, when the little voice comes in, the dragon, as Lieselle says, and it says, what am I looking at? Your heart's like, ooh, pretty, like, give me more. And then the thinking kicks in, and you're like, what am I seeing? And it shrinks a little. And your thinking and your words come in so much that it'll extinguish the light that you are seeing constantly on other people, your dog, your new cat. And with that, we're off to France again. What do you have for us for follow-up with all that food for thought? And all 3 of you are giving us such amazing answers.
I do have a little bit to add there. I think for me, you know, I think one of the things I say the most to people every single day is, you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and the human experience is a kind of tricky one. And the thing is that the spiritual being has no issue whatsoever, bloody ever. Okay, the spiritual being is whole and perfect and is poured into this container right here, this meat suit. And the meat suit is the one that has the trickiness and the restriction and the doubt and the fear whereas the spiritual being doesn't. And so therefore for me, meditation is key. Why? Not to connect with anything else out there, but to connect with you, the spiritual being, who is whole, who knows all the answers, and who is not fazed, who's not worried, who is not scared, but is so prepared to just live big and experience this time through the unique lens that is your meat suit that is sitting there right now. And when we can really understand that we are just a beautiful, unique lens for spirit to experience itself in our little lifetime, you lighten up a little bit. It's not so bloody heavy. It's all of a sudden, you know what? This is a kind of a cool thing. There is your curiosity. There is spirit going, what else can I explore? That also gives people, for me, and in my experience as well, that helps me with my body and my physicality. There have been times I've treated my body really horribly, Okay. And there are many people treating their bodies very horribly because they either don't like them very much, or they criticize their bodies, or they criticize the meat suit that they've been born into. But you know what? That's the temple housing the beautiful spirit that has chosen to reside in there for this time and this space. And when you can remember that as well, you start to live in a very different way, because then you start to honor that temple a little bit more when you realize that you are not just the temple or the meat suit, but you are indeed the spirit that has chosen that particular vessel for this particular journey. And whilst I realize that sometimes it's a big concept for people to really grasp, because all they know is the meat suit, I have to say, find time to meditate, find time for mindfulness. And as you said as well, Tracy, I think, mindfulness is not necessarily sitting like a Zen monk at the top of a mountain somewhere. It is, though, being in the present moment as fully as possible, because the present moment is the most powerful moment you have. The past is gone. The future is not promised to you. Your power lies here and now. And also, your time is your most valuable currency. Once this time that you have here is gone, it's gone. That's it. It's done. How do you wish to spend it? How do you wish to spend that currency? How do you wish to be in this moment? And in this moment, it is perfect, isn't it? It just is what it is. It is what it is, but it's all you have. And I think that we trade those moments that we have, these present moments that we have, we trade it in worry for future moments. We trade it in regret for the past. And neither of those two things are real. Here we are, right here, right now. Again, I have to say, find time to bloody meditate, for God's sake, man. Just come into, you need to find the quiet time and spend some time in this beautiful now, right now, and now, and now, and now.
I think one of the things too, if I can just pop in here, that we're also reprogramming the fact that we've been patterned, so people can understand if they go, well, again, push back on meditation or whatever, to go and find within, because we have been programmed since birth, everything's outside. So if somebody is listening, they're struggling, they say, well, she makes it sound so easy, just go within. Well, we all make it easy now because we had to learn that too, right? That it is just, it's just a programming that people are breaking and listening. And because that's the biggest thing I notice right now with people waking up, they're realizing, it isn't out there, it is in here. And so just for the people that are listening, that we're breaking that paradigm as a collective, and it's got a long ways to go, but we're doing amazing. And so many people through these last couple of years are going, wait a minute, it is. So just thought if people are struggling, that's the program you're breaking. And that's exactly what you're saying, Lieselle, is that, yeah, it is all inside. So when people push back, they're just breaking down that paradigm. So be gentle. Yeah.
We'll go to Diane in 1 second. I just want to read 2 quick quotes. This is from a sheet. I bought my first home maybe when I was 37. I was in New York, but I bought it in Austin. And I put together a sheet of quotes that I had been holding on to since 1991, some of which I didn't even understand until 23 years later or something. So here are just 2 of those quotes that it was hidden behind a door, so not many people would see it unless you inspected my house. But it was kind of like a list of mantras almost, or reminders. Reminders for what you decide to the audience to make you laugh. Accepting ourselves means lightening up the ancient burden of self-importance. I thought we just touched upon that. And don't hang on to your version of life too tightly. With that, Diane, can you keep going with this thread? We're on a roll.
Gorgeous segue. That was so good. Okay, so I could not agree more about meditation. And of course, we all here know this. For anybody who's watching or listening to this, do not underestimate the power of meditation. It's not just sitting still. It completely changed my life. It opened up all my psychic abilities. It changed everything. And it was awkward at first and a difficult habit to start, but I'm so addicted to it. I do not go a day without meditation, because once you cross that discomfort, it's now a habit, and you realize how much comes from that. So I wanted to say that, because that leads into two things. And one of them is that when we are growing up, we, especially those first 8 years, when we're in theta state, when everything about us is tuned into our imagination. We don't have that history. And what we're doing is taking in everybody else's beliefs and experiences and taking on those emotions. We can't help it. But our imagination gets, for lack of a better word, knocked out of us, beat out of us. You know, we're told to sit still in class and learn this thing and study this and memorize, and it starts to break down. And especially as we get a little bit older, more and more, like there's no room for imagination. And think to yourself, the last time you just had a day of play and imagination. Well, what meditation will do for you is it allow your mind to quiet enough so you can start receiving the visualizations. You can start imagining, you can start creating and painting those pictures and see, because we see in pictures, you start to see them, and now you can start getting the clarity about what you really do want. And I'll say this, everything you want, and it's my belief, is in the unknown. You know what you know, or you think you know. And if you're still struggling with the same things, you haven't sat quietly long enough for it to be dissolved. That's a quote, an unknown person that I heard, and I thought, wow, that is really, really good. So be open to the miraculous, unknown, infinite, unlimited possibilities that are this universe. We are living all these parallel realities at the same time. And so everything is in particle form. It's in particle. And what makes it come to form is the energy that we give to it through thoughts and feelings and words and actions. That's how creation happens. So use your life and imagine it, create it, paint that picture, visualize it, do daily meditation. And I promise you, you will get to the point where you're addicted to it too, because the clarity just starts to come in. And I, with one of my rainbow breath meditation, part of the process is to light up all your chakras, including your soul star, which sits about a foot or so above your head. It's so powerful. It's the portal to abundance. It's literally it's coming in. We have a toroidal field around us that moves like this, right? This is the way the energy is moving. So if you are sending energy saying, clear out the residue here, like my friend Katie Bray says, so it can actually come in. Because I did a video on TikTok that went viral. If you are thinking, you are drawing on your past. You are drawing on your past. Creation comes from visualization and imagination, but the thinking is why people stay stuck. They go back and they recount all the times something didn't work out for them or when they felt bad. And so in the thinking mind, what you're doing is whatever that experience is, you get the mail and there's bills in there. And you get that gut feeling in your gut, like, oh, it hurts. You feel the pain in your heart. And all the times you were told, we don't have enough money, or no, you can't have that thing because, we're on austerity, or Christmas is going to be light this year. These are the things I heard. And, that's like throwing money away, or all those things in that 1 second, grabbing the mail out and seeing bills ignites all those files and all those feelings and frequencies. And so how are you going to get past that? You've got to meditate so that you can start using your imagination and visualization and tap into the unknown, which is where all the miracles are anyway. And you'll start witnessing and living, feeling better, being excited, going, holy cow, I actually can create my life. And maybe start with small things like, I'd like to see a yellow butterfly today, or a hummingbird, or I'd like to find $10, or I'd like the front parking place, or I want to hit all the green lights, or like get into your imagination, get playful. That's what I want to say. That's so much. And all of that drilled down to meditation. Meditation.
Ooh, we're going to Tracy and then Lieselle. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something. I have a client today. I want to explain this because I just think it's a great example of somebody who uses their thinking mind and as opposed to their heart or just what they, what they want to feel. And this particular client has a lot of money, has everything, so has the money, has achieved a lot of success in life from material goods, but feels empty within here, still lacking, still feeling incomplete in life in some way. And this is an interesting dilemma to have, because when somebody else looks at him externally, they go, well, there's nothing wrong with it, because he's got all the stuff that I don't have, or that I would like to manifest in my life. But I feel it's also really important to say that when you don't know what you want for yourself and you can't particularly visualize a particular outcome, whether that be a new home or a new house or a new thing or whatever, remembering that none of those things are actually going to bring you inner peace. Not one of those things will ever bring you inner peace. They are things, and they may make you happy for a short while, but that's not actually going to fulfill you. I think it's also really important to remember that when you are asking for something from spirit, if you will, or wishing to be in a different position, it really is important to know that you can just say, my intention is to feel inner peace and calm, and then allow the universe to deliver you whatever it is that brings you inner peace and calm. Not necessarily going, because sometimes very often the mind that goes, oh, this will make it better. Oh, that's going to make it better. Oh, that's definitely going to make it better. But actually, when you get those things, that doesn't really make it better. What does make it better is, how do you feel? And the magnet is truly here, here again, coming back down into the heart, into the gut, into the instinct, that is your draw card. And when somebody doesn't know, what it is that will make them happy, it is important to point out that it is important to feel good. And feeling good is something, is an outcome. And you can ask just, for circumstances or situations that help me feel inner peace. Thank you very much. End of story. And again, Diane, meditation with that is really just allowing things to be as they are in that moment, just allowing and opening up, allowing the space, giving the space for things to drop in that you hadn't particularly thought of, because that thought can be quite a dangerous old thing.
Tracy's next, but I've got two quick quotes from that same sheet behind my doorway, almost by the laundry room 2 houses ago. Nothing ever really goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. Yeah. And I don't know who said these, but
Pema Chodron said that.
Oh, okay, perfect. And she might have said the next one too. When we look into our own hearts and begin to discover what is confused and what is brilliant, what is bitter and what is sweet, it isn't just ourselves we're discovering, it's the universe. Everything and everyone is awake. Yes. So Tracy, keep going with this. We're on a roll.
Yeah, I think the other thing for people to understand is, if you're not used to inner peace, like I as a child, I never had inner peace. I had a very, very rough upbringing from birth. And so I didn't know what that was like. And when I started to do this work over a couple of decades ago, if it helps somebody, I started, and I like that you said the Wayne Dyer book. I think that was my first, like, oh, here we are, intention. But also notice the situations where you're finding more inner peace. So as you're doing this work and you're moving, you will find bits of it. And those are the places you also need to celebrate, is like, wait a minute, there's this different space. I'm not reacting as much to things that are out here anymore. So you know you have more inner peace. And if you can take those little moments and go, that didn't faze me, it would faze me before. It's also another guide. It's a compass to say you're on the right path, you're doing the right thing, just keep going. Because it's like a building block, right? It's like a house that we have with a bad foundation, and we're just getting rid of that and replacing it with a good foundation and a solid foundation. And it's okay that you'll notice that. And I noticed even through these last couple of years, you know, they did, for a lot of us, it didn't phase us. It was like, oh, okay, whatever, it didn't phase us. But for a lot of people it did. But now people are telling me that they kind of know what's coming. They've seen what's coming next. And like, I have more peace around it. I'm not as restless around it anymore, because you found your answers and you're finding them within. And if people can see that it's a building block, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and have all that inner peace all at once. But if you can actually say, wow, I had a little bit more, like I'm saying, like it's a 1%, it's a 1%, but really notice how in your environment, you are not reacting. Like, I know when all this stuff happened, I was like, okay, well, we could say we're not reacting, whatever. We just know what we need to do. I couldn't have done that even 10 years ago, even though I've been awake and in this realm for over 2 decades, like many of us have, and more, right? Many people have been around longer than that. But to say that, well, wait a minute, if I keep building that, that's where you're then in observation mode versus reaction mode. And that's where you're grow even more. Where I know I lived my whole life in reaction mode, walking around like a bobblehead like this, you know. When you learn that, well, I did. People asking, it seems look like one of those Pez dolls, you know, like, but it was that space. And I hope people will understand that when they hear that just say, I didn't react to that today, and celebrate yourself for that. Even if it's somebody that cut you off and before you were giving them the finger in the road, and now you're like, wait a minute, you know, whatever, it just happened, they're having a bad day. Celebrate your win on that, and because that's going to change so much more as well. And your peaceful middle ground. Yeah.
I think that's totally true, Tracy. I think that there we're talking about that acknowledgement, observation, and there's the starting point, right? That's a starting point. That's like your key starting point. And you'll need to go back to that again and again and again and again. And it's okay, you know, so, but it is so important. It's key, because if you don't acknowledge it, you don't see a pattern. You don't see the pattern. It's really important to go, wow, cool, and no judgment. Not even on the bad aspect. If you really wanted to give somebody the finger, right? There's no judgment on that. You just go, okay, no, that's kind of okay. I get that. That's not really where I want to go. But you know, it's just about, and you said it right there, because that is, acknowledgement is key. Observation is everything, with no judgment. Again, Pema Chodron, the great Pema Chodron, if you have not read her books, please go about doing so. Her mantras are very powerful. She has one, obviously Michael just said that one about nothing goes away until it has taught you what you need to know. But the other is, you are the sky and everything else is the weather. You are the sky and everything else is the weather. That is powerful, because you know, the sky doesn't react to the weather. It just holds it, facilitates it, and the weather passes. This too shall pass, this too shall pass, this too shall pass.
Beautiful.
Wow. Diane.
Yes. Actually, as you say that, Lieselle, I remember seeing Tom Hanks at a round table with a bunch of gentlemen, and they were all just there supporting each other. And he said in the quote, you know, they said, what's your favorite quote? And he said, this too shall pass. And he said, both ways, when the bad things happen and when the good things happen, knowing that, and how that's been able to bring balance in his life, which leads me to say that the more connected, the awareness, remember, awareness begets change, the more aware you are of your feelings and your emotions and how extraordinary this gift of life is. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, that the 400 trillion to 1 odd of us being born, like we're amazing miracles, that the more you do focus on self-love, self-awareness, self-appreciation, curiosity, childlike wonder, imagination, and this is my experience, and I see it with my clients, the more whole you feel, right? So those outside things don't even matter to us, like your client, Lieselle, who had everything and was empty. I did too. I had everything I thought I wanted. It looked like I had this have it all life. People outside looking in would say, you know, must be nice to be her. But I was so unhealthy and unhappy and had no self-love or self-worth. And so that's your goal and your mission and your journey in this life, is to find the peace and safety. The safety is what we're seeking. We're seeking peace of mind and calmness. But what that ultimately means is we're either feeling safe or unsafe. And with feeling unsafe is fear, it's doubt, it's guilt, it's shame, it's all those things that ultimately lead, if you look at them, to feeling unsafe. And so that whole, for lack of a better word, comes from your awareness how incredible you are. And look at the things that you love about your life. Practice gratitude. You know, you don't like the body you're in? Well, thank your legs for making you able to walk, and your eyes for you to see, and your taste buds so you can start thanking it. Thank it. It's like if you have money issues, you feel like you don't have enough money, you clearly don't have a relationship with money, and you're chasing money. And when you're chasing money, it's like chasing a dog. What happens when you chase a dog? It runs. But when you relax and let go and let it in, what starts to happen is when you're detached and you're whole, and you don't really have the need for those things, they're nice, but it's not like it's a big deal, then things start to move towards you. And it's not, don't manipulate it so that you can, that's not what I'm saying, manipulate the energy so you can attract. No, the feeling of wholeness and safety and self-love and connection is truly the greatest gift. And that's the quest I'm on every day. How much more can I feel that? I love the way that feels. And so that's what I believe it's all about.
I love what you said, and I just want to say there is, and I remind people this, I love that you said, anything you chase, you're going to repel.
Yeah.
It's so brilliant. I think if anybody can listen to what you just said, there is so brilliant. When we chase, right, the energy is need, and then it runs away. And I love how you put it. I'm like, dog sleeping there, and he's like, there I am. But it's like, yeah, you chase a dog, and how many times have we seen kids afraid? They run, they're running around after them, and then it's like the dog's running away. And I think it's just a beautiful thing that you said there, because it's so true. And if you remember that, whatever you're chasing, you're repelling.
Right, because then when you sit down, the dog comes to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Under the Tuscan Sun?
Oh, I watched it again the other day. I saw it in the theater, and
Do you know the butterfly analogy, where she's chasing butterflies as a child, chasing butterflies, and she can't catch a single butterfly in a net, and she falls asleep exhausted in a field, and she wakes up and she's covered in butterflies.
So funny. I literally just watched that movie probably 12 days ago, and I'm like, I haven't seen that movie in over 20 years. Yeah, such a great analogy.
Allow more, breathe more, trust more, smile more, think less, but not much. A percentage point a day or week. 5%, angels will tell you, 5% less thinking is the Olympic gold medal. So that's not much of a height to try to reach. Don't worry about structure. 3 more quotes, if I can even find them. A jewel, and this is off the wall again from 11 years ago. It involves Oh, sorry. A jewel buried in earth a million years is not discolored or harmed. And so a genuine heart can be brought out in anyone, anytime. Right and wrong closes us down and makes our world smaller. And finally, here we go. It involves keeping our hearts and minds open long enough to entertain the idea that when we make things wrong, we do it out of a desire to create some kind of ground or security. Equally, when we make things right, we are still creating some kind of ground or security. And I would add, angels say there is no right or wrong. That doesn't mean go out and rob a bank, but there is no right or wrong. There's proper understanding. With that, can we do a lightning round on those concepts, whatever you want to remind us of? Because everyone knows this deep down. We just forgot at some point, or we forgot. For me, I forget 5 times in a day. I need slapping around in a whiskey shot or cigar. I don't smoke cigars, but I'm just being facetious here. What do we need to remember? A lightning round. I'll blow some sage. We might bring in a couple angels. Again, all of you have had wonderful life experiences. Can you mention something from the past, a blast from the past, and how to keep our chin up? I get this all the time. I'm walking and I start thinking too much. I look down, and angels or Geronimo will remind me, chin up, breathe, let go. It doesn't even matter what you're supposed to let go of. Keep letting go. With that, Diane, what have you got for us for a reminder?
Oh my gosh. Well, to your first point about right, wrong, and all of that, that people don't hear what you say, they hear what they believe. So there is no right and wrong, right? There's your interpretation and what you believe to be true, and it's theirs, and it's never right or wrong. And then a takeaway, that I am so grateful to be here. I feel blessed to be in all of your company. I feel like this message is getting out to exactly who's supposed to hear it. And know that there's nothing wrong with you. You are perfect and you're worthy and deserving, but you're the only one that can change your life. No one can do it for you. It's not outside of you. It doesn't serve you to blame, not even yourself, not even yourself. Be kind, loving, and forgiving of yourself. Be curious and open and playful and imaginative, and be intentional with your desire to feel that safety, that peace of mind, that calmness that you so deserve.
Tracy.
I would like to say thank you too to all of you. What a pleasure this has been. Really a great pleasure. Yeah, to trust, know, believe, for people listening, that you matter. You're here for a reason, like a reason, and we've all come here for different reasons. So I would say never give up. You're always on brinks of new miracles all the time. And if you can lean into that, and I know how you're saying chin up. I always get the reminder from my guides. It's like maybe from my younger days of dancing, but they'd always tell you go up, back, down, and push your heart out, push your chest out, chin up, and this just moving that system, that sometimes we all do this because we want to crater in, or maybe something's happening. But if you can just remember to open up that heart space and trust like you've never done before, and lean that body in and believe that these things, they're shifting, they're changing. And when you know it at the core, you're going to find that peace like never before. And you will see that create in your world. And the more you celebrate you, the more you can celebrate you, the more you're going to see the universe is going to really bring those things back to you in a different way. So and I think we're on a really incredible, if I can just say, couple of years of such great change and transformation, that what I love seeing so much is just like here, but everyone coming together, because we have a choice every day to lift ourselves up and lift each other, or pull each other down. And if you can remember, when you go out, it doesn't mean you're crossing boundaries or sacrificing yourself or people pleasing. That's not what I'm saying. But what are you choosing for yourself to lift up each and every day? And what are you choosing when you're going outside? And if you can look at those choices, we can create our realities as a collective, because we're all tied, like we were saying, faster than ever before, which will change the outcome of where the world's going quicker than what people like to put out there. Stop listening to that stuff, because we can change it instantly when we start coming together.
Lieselle.
For me, on the right and wrong thing, I thought about my kids when they were growing up. My boys are now men, they're like in their 30s, but when they were teenagers and they used to have interesting ideas that I used to not necessarily agree with, I used to find it that the best way to deal with it was, I found, was not to tell them what I thought was right or wrong. I would just say, that's really interesting. Please tell me more. And I think that we can do that with anybody. You can say, that's really interesting. Please tell me more, with a genuine intent of learning something. Because often we say yes or no, right and wrong, because we want to cement what we already believe, and we're not really open to listening to what anybody else has to say. So I like the, tell me more. Yeah, and that was hard for me, by the way. It was not an easy thing, because I was like, really? Why the hell does he think that? But it was a very interesting exercise. The other thing I want to say is a takeaway, I would say, for anybody, anytime, anywhere, is a quote that used to be up at my yoga practice, which I used to find so empowering every time I saw it. And it was, you are never too old, you are never too sick, you are never too frail, you are never too anything to start again. And I loved that, because for me, I am the queen of the do-over. Like every day, like I hate that saying, I'm going to start a diet on Monday. Why? Start it now. Start it now. Start it again. Now, and now, and again. Like you don't have to wait for it. Like it's never too late. Never too late to do anything you want to do in this life. And we have an opportunity in this time, especially as women, to be able to recreate ourselves in so many ways over and over again in one lifetime that was never afforded to us before. And as humans, obviously, but how wonderful is that? How cool is that? That we get to choose what we do with this unique experience that is the life that we've chosen to come and live in this time. And yes, thank you to everybody here today. It has been a lovely, lovely experience.
And I'm going to blow some sage. Everyone's done this. I've done this on all my episodes. I think we've got 42 taped this year. Episode 32 just came out, and taping 43, 44, 45 through November. Of course, we're going to get two old Irish proverbs. At least that's how I like to view them. These are great quotes. Don't pick up a rock and drop it on your own feet. Brilliant. And that's how we spend our energy daily. If we would only pay attention more, we realize we're always going to waste energy and be up here. It's this thinking or resisting or judging versus this. You can even have angels bring light into your hand and see that. One more, you'll learn a fence needs mending after the sheep have run away. A bit like the dog analogy or metaphor. I love that. And I had to mention that, not mindfulness, the meditation thing. I always say, take a nap, except don't do it in your bed. Put on Radiohead Lotus Flower. I think that's on my YouTube channel. So it's Angels, Positivity, Love. In the fun list, they let you have a fun video list. So check that out. It's exactly 5 minutes. Find a way to put it on repeat. You don't have to like Radiohead, but somehow that song is just brilliant for taking Calgon, Take Me Away, if you don't mind an 80s or 1990s commercial. Grab stuffed animals or stuffies, as people say, or grab a beach towel or find a really comfortable spot. It could be outside, inside. Close your eyes, put a pillow down. You don't have to make this, brutal as if you're at a meditation class. Relax, fall asleep, and see what the universe comes to you, but do set your intent. Okay, grab a cat. And I think some of us are cat owners. A little bit of sage. I'm going to light this. You all can smell this in France, in California, in Canada. You've done this before, most of you or all of you. It's just a little bit of sage, but Lorna Byrne, the Irish angel mystic, 2 episodes ago, to plug my show yet again, caught the smell of daisies and roses in Ireland. Jennifer McLean, the 35-year healer, caught 3 flower smells in Laguna Niguel. I can never pronounce it. But I don't remember what those flowers are. And I think she caught sage as well. That was not a good burn. Hold on. It's a good burn now. And give yourself a break. If you're watching this right now, some of you are already catching it. Red-tailed hawk feather, just for effect. I'll even blow a little. There we go. Diane, what are you catching in San Diego, outside of San Diego?
I'm catching jasmine.
Yay. Okay, in France, Lieselle, what are you catching?
Cedarwood.
Say it one more time for us, if you could.
Cedarwood.
Okay. Beautiful. And then Tracy in Ontario, that area.
A pine.
Ah, okay. With your permission. Oh, and ask for something extra special. You don't have to share it out loud. It doesn't have to be linear. So something that resonated today for the audience, ask for it. You know, one of these amazing powerhouses said something and you're like, wow, I wish I could. Ditch that. I said that about poetry one time, somebody who was an acclaimed poet, and I started writing poetry after that. But get out of your own way. Let this sage smoke be more universal light energy. Ask for it to come into your field. Okay, a year from now, if you're a skeptic, a month from now, if you're resisting, tomorrow, if you're still putting up a fight here, and later this afternoon, if you're allowing. Okay, with that, Diane, do angels exist?
Yes.
Tracy, do angels exist?
Yes.
Lieselle, you've already heard the question.
Yeah, I already know the answer too, eh?
I'll hold up 2 photos, get anything you need, hugs, smell of flowers, ocean smell. But if you could share one thing, I'll go with Tracy first on this. This is Joy, the emotion Joy, an angel who's pretty big, here to help us communicate. She's the ambassador. So let her do her job for folks out there. Don't try. Always try. Don't try. Do you see the difference? It's not about words. Let go. Tracy, what do you have for us from Charlotte, the teacher, or Joy? Both are angels.
Don't be afraid to expand and to be seen.
Oh, brilliant. Diane, I'll give you a choice. Door number 1, door number 2. Do you want both?
Oh, it's definitely Joy. That is my mother, Roseanne Joy. She is here right now, and I feel it in my heart. And what the message is heal your heart, release past trauma. Please heal your hearts. That's what I hear.
You guys are, I'm gonna publicly say it now. Maybe November we can have the 3 of you come back on. We'll talk about that after the show. But okay, Lieselle, door number 1, door number 2, and remember, it's your own heart that's the doorway to a bigger reality.
It's always going to be Joy. Diane, I love you. My mother is Joy Sandra, and my mother is with me right here, right now, telling me to release the past, the freaking, believe it or not, release the damn past, little girl, she says. How rude. Release the past, little girl. How rude. But I like that. And it's like, would you just put it down already? Would you just put it down already?
And I'm going to mention Joe Shu, which is, I think, going back 700 years. It's up there. Green is the last name. It's a translation. Just think Zen stuff, China, Japan. But a master and a student. A student always runs up to the master to prove that they're finally in their heart, beyond words, beyond structure, and beyond sort of, learning processes that you just opened up in the moment. So the student comes running up to the master and yells, "What is the white ox standing in the field?" Now, this master has a cane, whacks him on the head and says, "You dumb ox." The point is, there's no one way to get there, and it's not going to be found in the usual places you're going already. You got to let go through the heart. I've got another angel for you to get back on track. This one's oceany, light waves of energy and water, professorial, but very soft-spoken. My guardian angel on my website, you see her as a white ball of light near Audrey Hepburn. Diane, what are you getting? And do you want to catch ocean smell, maybe something exotic, Hawaii, Seychelles?
Well, I sense my beach right here, which is why I live here, because that is my home. And the message I'm hearing is just take more time to take it in.
Tracy, go for broke.
I want us just to remember to always stay in flow and not resist.
And I'm going to add, before we go to Lieselle, they've got me, angels have got me, and it's probably not phrasing it. It's my opportunity daily to get into the pool in our community and watch the light waves on the bottom of the pool and connect with my guardian angel even more. She's always been a little more removed, completely available. I've had other angels and figures, but so it's a chance for me to let go. Again, ditch the details. We're always going to have more details come in. The second you get done, you're like, hooray, I've arrived. You're at the top of the mountain. You know, all the sustenance is down in the valley and the village. Good luck. You're going to be trekking up and down 1,000,000 times. That's called thinking versus letting go. Okay. Lieselle, what are you getting from Min? You can just call her Min for those out there.
Manuela right away get with feet on the ground and eyes on, no. Eyes on the sky, feet on the earth, in the space in between, my spirit gives birth.
Oh my God. Please, everybody replay that. Go back. And I should mention, as a good YouTuber now, which all of you do great on social media, you absolutely have to check out Lieselle's TikTok channel, The Eternal Tarot, but with underscores in between. She's got like 40 knockoff accounts, 976,000 or so subscribers. She's fantabulous. But please like, subscribe, comment, share, and I forgot the most important, enjoy this conversation. Last but not least, 3 Native American chiefs, then we'll go back to everybody to have you throw in additional food for thought for all of us, or food for heart, as we might want to say now. 3 Native American chiefs, unconditional love figures. The very first one is Dull Knife. Morningstar was his original name. He's unconditional love, wisdom with some humor, like a mountain range. Diane, what are you getting from him? And if you wish, anyone can catch one of 40 scents, smells like tobacco, sweetgrass, juniper, pine, desert pignon, tobacco. You get the idea.
I smell dust, honestly, not in a bad way. And that reflection, take time to reflect. It's okay to reflect. That's what I heard. Brilliant.
Tracy, what do you have from Dull Knife?
I actually smelled the sweetgrass right away, which I haven't smelled in a really long time. So that was actually a pleasure. And just the message was just really stay focused. Stay focused on where you're going.
Ooh, and Lieselle.
For me, also very much akin to dirt or dust. For me, the smell of the dust after rain. So there's a sense of settling down, like the settling down of dust, not rising dust, but settling down dust, and a sense of groundedness, a sense of needing grounding, remembering that whilst we are all trying to expand perhaps our psychic capacity or our capacity to connect beyond ourselves, that we also have to honor the fact that we live in this body, and just coming down. So to me, he's the spirit of groundedness.
Red shirt is the gentlest mom in the world, least manly description one can have, but not. Compassion, 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 huge heart, speaks softly, and wearing U.S. presidential medal around the neck. The day after this photo was taken, he and Geronimo were at the White House, I think Teddy Roosevelt, Pennsylvania Ave on horseback. Diane, what are you getting from Red Shirt's super gentle, loving figure?
I smell fresh air. He's humble. I feel humble and wise. That's what I'm getting.
Brilliant. Tracy.
Funny, because I heard very similar. It said, stay humble, stay kind. Like that saying, which, yeah, I love it.
Okay, and Lieselle.
I've got something completely different. I know this sounds really weird, but this man was a good kisser. And I just want to say to you, I'm sorry, but I just think he just wants you to live with passion. You know, when you kiss somebody, there's vulnerability and this authentic openness and just this, like, just go and kiss somebody passionately. That kind of feeling. It's just like the authenticity of it. But he showed me that, like, I'm a good kisser, man. That was really odd, I know, but that's how I got that.
Beautiful and love it. Last but not least, Geronimo, the young version. I'll put up the older version. He's action, dry wit, lightning bolt, Marine Corps drill sergeant, just knows where you're at. And remember, the whole universe knows where you're at. They understand your details. They understand your past, and they know your future. And they're here to help you let go. So whether we're talking figures or you want to stay away from that a little bit and just trust the universe in an abstract way, the main concept that all of you have been pointing out is just trust more. Find a way to get out of your own way. Do it before bed, when you wake up, as everyone suggested. Here's Geronimo. Diane. He's, by the way, very slang. Yeah, nah, duh, just do it. The other two are formal and proper.
He's a big kid energy, playful, active, everything we've been talking about today. So validation for that. That's what I hear.
And then Tracy, and you can catch another scent or hear a drum beat or a light rattle of a small ceremony going on.
I smell suede.
Yeah, I smell pipe, like kind of that, yeah, pipe, and jump in at all costs, like live your life at all costs, like go all.
Oof, brilliant. And I remember you just reminded me that Del Knife said once, life is a feast, partake. And I thought that was pretty good. Okay, Lieselle, for young
For me, this is take aim and fire. This is about intention. Take aim and fire. There's a really a sense of purpose, purpose, focus, direction. Take aim and fire.
Wow. And okay, older Geronimo. Now, everyone, if you could just put your invisible seatbelt on. If you're at home and you want to go Formula One, that's 2 seatbelts. Do it. Because now let go. And I only have one bit of structure. I forget it all the time to even say it. And my bit of structure or advice, a step to take, is kind of similar to what you all have been saying. Oh, yeah. It's ask angels, no matter what you're doing. You're about to cook a meal. You're about to walk your dog. You're about to try to remember to put the iPhone down and hug your new cat or your dog and to spend time with your cat or dog. Or anything you want to do in life. So what is that statement? It's statement of intent. Oh yeah, angels, get me out of my head, into my heart, make this nice, or fill in the blank like I have today for Diane. Amen, rock and roll, thank you. Own this. Okay, here is Geronimo, last but not least. And Diane, if we could just give this to you and we'll do a final.
Well, you showed me him before, so I feel like like the connection right away. I mean, I feel like I'm getting a big bear hug and I feel protected and I feel like that's what he embodies. His energy embodies that. That's what I'm getting.
And Tracy.
Yeah, I just get a lot. I've seen him before. I work with him, and thanks you. And a lot of safety. Like just there's a lot of safety in that energy and the safety that we're bringing back to ourselves.
And Lieselle.
What I get from him is don't die with your music inside you. There's something you've come here to do. Figure it out, not with your head.
Okay, last lightning round, last bit you want to offer the audience, and then we've wrapped it up. So I hope I'll have you back in the fall, and we'll chat about that for 1 second after the show. Diane, what would you like to leave everybody with as a final reminder or encouragement?
That all you have is today. And let I have today be your mantra, that take action, make quick decisions, move in that inspired action. Don't worry, wonder instead, and have faith and trust and belief, and just be kind to yourself moment by moment by moment. Keep that those ABCs, because that awareness will beget that change. Thank you.
Tracy.
Stay open to everything and judge nothing, and really understand, I keep saying, how much you matter, and keep on that path and keep trusting and knowing, believing like you never did before, because you're always changing every minute of every second of every day.
Lieselle.
If you're having a really bad time and you are in a place of grief or pain or discomfort and you don't know how to get out of it, acknowledge the pain, realize that it's there, but also realize that that is not your constant state of being, and that you are allowed to transcend that at any time by merely saying, I wish to feel better.
Well, thank you, all of you. Your details will be below the video. I want to thank everybody for being on this Mind, Body, Spirit panel number 4. You've been wonderful. I know the audience is going to appreciate it with a like, a subscribe, a share, and I certainly know they've enjoyed this absolute amazing panel, and you're all powerhouses.
Thank you, Michael. It's been wonderful time together.